expertise.
Journey, the experience, the hub.
So I'm sitting on a table full of big personalities, big mouths, very capable of engaging in social, personal, spiritual, mental conversations. And like I said, this month being International Women's Month, I found it fit to have an array of women surrounded by me. I am sitting at 45 Tissue Lane Drive. Tissue Drive, Trinidad. I'm at Toast Restaurant, so let's just start by saying thanks for them giving us this beautiful spot today. The ambience is on point, and if you are looking for a very cute place to brunch with excellent service, Jihan, how is the summer? It's
really good.
Fresh
ingredients.
So you know where to come. You're coming at Toast. This is a special edition of the Hub because I never envisioned myself sitting on a table full of women. I've always been a men's advocate. I always found like we as women, we have safe places. So why do I need to venture into your lifestyles? You all have friends, you all have hairdressers, you all have your esthetician. Hello. My glow is because of Taylor. Yeah. And I honestly was selfish in that thought, thinking that as a woman, we were superheroes and we were good at saving ourselves. And then I had this interview with Akina. And with Akina talking about her process with marriage and church and divorce and then autoimmune diseases bringing on different reactions and it's more prone to women. I said, you know what, let me fill a table of women where we could just discover, rediscover, restructure, learn, unlearn things that we have been conditioned to be a part of, and even rituals and beliefs we have built for ourselves. So we're going to start by introducing ourselves, and the first thing I will ask you all to do is when you say your name, you're going to tell us one thing that you are capable of. So it's how we start now. The left, the right, the right, the left.
Start on the right.
Alright, so let me start to make it easy. So I am Tameeka Castillo, and I think I am capable of holding positive thoughts, because it's something that I have struggled with for a very long time. But I think I'm capable of holding positive thoughts. So who will go next?
I can go next. My name is Ophir Pajotte. I think just simply put, I can make it happen. I feel like I could get anything done that I put my mind to. But I definitely think one of my strengths is you give me an idea, I can make it happen. Yeah.
I'm Avalon Gomez, and what am I capable of? Let me take one out of the hat. I think something that I'm proud that I am capable of is being able to be in a space with other powerful women like today and not feel less than or not try to make them feel less than. I think that's one of my superpowers and something I'm really proud of too.
I'm proud of Miss Oliver's answer. I'm nervous.
I'm too short.
I am Dr. Summer Edwards Williams, and I think I am capable of more than anything is helping persons through trauma, trauma recovery, healing, and going through that process is something I take pride in, and I've seen the result of it, so I know that is something that I've been given as my assignment on this is.
Hi, I am Jihan Roberts, Esquire, first of her name, mother of dragon, sorry. I feel like I am capable of keeping it moving, like no matter what life throws at me or stuff that comes at me, I'm able to slap them big girl panties on and keep it pushing.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Miss Universe answer.
Miss Universe answer.
My name is Tuitt, and I am capable of peace based on what I do, what I'm surrounded by, managing, juggling, multitasking. Even if that is often a challenge, I still have to keep the peace.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So in that little exercise we did there, did we realize that we could be part of what everybody else uttered?
correct.
Definitely.
And I did that because sometimes we feel like if we are alone and I have the world on my shoulder and I'm going through this alone and nobody understands where I'm coming from because I have to be a mommy, I have to be a wife, I have to be a sister, I have to show up for work, I have to show up for others, and then sometimes we forget ourselves. So I pull these psychological facts about women in love. And love isn't just your partner, it's also being a parent, owning your business. Because these are things that we love. And one of the things that stuck out to me is that you said love alters women's brain chemistry.
Oh, we know that. We know that.
No, that's not Jihan's face.
No, I know what saying it does.
Love alters women's brain chemistry. And I found it was a beautiful note for us to start on because for many times we have been told to put ourselves last. Take care of everyone else, take care of everything else, and then whatever we are left with, then we take care of ourselves. How many of us have been there?
Oh, yes.
And what was the end result of that?
Uno.
Yeah.
But then how did we regain ourselves after realizing that that is not what love really is?
Getting a reality check. You reach a deathbed, you know to put yourself first.
And for many of us who are running our own businesses, the challenge of putting your love into the challenge of putting our love into this business, seeing it grow, seeing it multiply, giving so much of yourself to ensure that this is successful. This is something not only I can talk about, but other people can talk about. I'm sure we could give instances where we sacrifice ourselves to make the dream happen. Can we?
Yeah.
So anybody wants to give us an experience on how that is or how that was and the lessons you learned from that? I feel like I have to take out the camera because when the camera wasn't rolling,
No.
I'll take it. Chatting me.
I'll take it.
Dana will take it.
I think with running a business, you often feel it's a straight line. Like you get into business, you want to be successful, you want to make money, you want to see that just keep on that trajectory. Unfortunately, that's just not how it goes. You know, life is happening, and I feel as if, as women, we get to see, we are the ones who really deal with life happening, all while trying to make the dream happen. And it's one of the, it's a real, you know, it's a balancing act of trying to figure out, should I give more to the work? Should I give more to the personal life?
Yeah.
If I give more in one space, is it going to falter? Is it going to fail? When I had my last child, I had to make a decision. Am I going to go right down and work? Or am I going to take a pause
Yeah.
for wellness, for health, right? Because the fact of the matter is that you go all the way down, you are not quite sure what that might do to your health, how that's going to prepare for the next stage of your life. And then you have to know that the work that you've put in is strong enough
To sustain itself.
that it's going to be there when you come back to it. Because if it is you get tired and you burn out, you get sick, you get ill, you know, and you get knocked down,
Yes.
you're going to have to stop regardless, right? So why not choose
When to pause.
when to pause and make a call? And because no matter what, people will keep pulling at you.
Yeah.
They're going to keep demanding more and more and more if you don't even have your own boundary for rights. These are my hours.
Yeah.
This is my time. And this is when I can come back to it. And when I come back to it, I'll be able to balance it best.
I think that resonates
With everybody, with everything. But you just come to a point where you realize, but wait a minute, I could slow down.
Yeah.
I could do this a little differently because when I came back to work,
Everything was functioning.
everything was functioning, but I was able to make that decision.
Yes.
to not feel as if I was getting back into it outside of the terms I wanted to be in it with. So even now, when I think about things I want to do, changes I want to make, how I feel about certain things, I don't get that anxiety anymore. I don't feel as if like if I don't do it like this, no, you get a level of peace because you start to practice a little bit more balance. You start to practice and realize, listen, I'm not doing brain surgery. I'm not on call. I'm not, because and everybody gets to take a break.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the old people used to say, walk no dead.
Yeah.
And I feel like as women, we are always the ones who have to balance. Because if you notice, man, I'm not bashing men, I'm a boy mom. But if you notice, we are the ones who have to take on everything. Like men will be, they compartmentalize well. We are the ones who feel like, okay, I have to do business, I have to take after that, I have to rush back to work. We are the ones who do that, and men are very good at saying no. And a lot of us have to adapt that because when your brain settles, everything will run smoother. You can't serve from an empty pot.
And I think the concept that Dina highlighted, it doesn't only apply for businesses, it applies for relationships. Because she used words like boundaries and anxiety and knowing what to give and how much to give. So you're taking it. Now I understand why she said I'm capable of peace.
Yeah. And I want to add to that because, one, firstly, what Dina said, when you are burnt out, the very thing you love looks like your enemy. The very thing that you have been passionate about becomes a task when you thought you could have done it without effort. It becomes a task because you are now unconsciously seeing this as you're draining me. And not necessarily the thing that you love is draining you, but the pressure you put on yourself by meeting the demands of everybody else except your demands. So it is definitely important to recharge and reset. And that way you can serve everybody. Whether the most difficult and the most, because you could then make, as you said, right and clear decisions. And that boundaries, listen, don't call me all the time, I'm sorry. Don't do it. And I love what Jihan said in terms of, men compartmentalizing and us. But one of the things that I have noticed, even in my life, why do we drive so hard? A lot of times it's from pressures of childhood. Whether we did it good enough, whether we have been living so long in the expectations of mommy and daddy, or just the idea of growing up in a competitive space, that unconsciously we are constantly going to prove a point. You understand? So for me, I believe that when we come to that place of realizing, listen, whether I go or not, life goes on. And getting to that place, listen, I'm taking it one day at a time, because trust me, when crisis hits, you really see how much the people that you're serving really doesn't serve you.
And I saw you, I saw Saba, this is so, I just like that it's aligned. Jihan had a status on her phone on WhatsApp, and she said, if you are not able to show yourself for my son in his lowest moments, when he's better, I don't want to see you.
Yeah.
And as bold and as blunt as it is, it comes from a place, as what Summer is saying, crisis depicts a lot of what happens to us and also the people who we think are in our village, our community.
Correct.
Wow.
I could tell you that when I lost my mom, that was one of the most depressing and heaviest seasons of my life. I don't even think any other season of my life was so dark. Depression to the point where I couldn't relate to my children, locked off. I just couldn't function. And at that point in time, there was nobody. And it allows you to reevaluate and reassess the people that you value and even the things that you value, what looked and seemed important at the point in time. You realize, listen, it ain't that, listen.
It's not
I say, don't call my phone. That's what I say. When I say 7 o'clock, no calls after that. You can message now until.
She'll take it in the morning.
In the morning.
Yeah. That is boundaries, and I keep saying discussions like these will keep reminding us that we are all the same. Things happen to us, but we don't talk about it.
Yes.
However, we experience the same thing. I am listening to Mel Robinson, and she had a trauma specialist on yesterday on her podcast, and she said, trauma is not what happened to us. Trauma is the experience we get from something happening to us. So our childhood wasn't a trauma, it's the experiences of our childhood That is the trauma.
That's it.
Abandonment, proving ourselves to our parents, having to prove if my skin color is enough, if my hair texture is enough, would I be able to walk into rooms and feel like I am representing myself? And these are things that many of us, we still deal with. We had this discussion off camera, right? It's learning to be comfortable with ourselves, and as Avalon said, being able to sit in a room with other powerful women and not feel intimidated. Let's go on that topic. I struggled with confidence for a very long time. As big as my mouth was, as bold as I came across, I struggled with my confidence for a very long time. I can't give you the exact way as to how I got over that, but it led me to a place where I stayed inside a lot. So I'll be loud to hide my insecurities. I'll be rough to hide my insecurities. And then one day I decided I'm not doing it again. I just decided it's not happening again.
Sick and tired.
And that's it.
Sick and tired.
Yeah. Just have to wake up one day and be tired of your own shit sometimes.
Statistics says that women have a higher pain threshold both physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Making babies.
Yeah, we agree to that. Outside of the making babies. Because some women have never experienced that journey. But how deep is our threshold as women?
I think it depends on the woman too, but I think it's deep. It's deep because we are forced many times to just keep it moving. And Dana said it rightfully, we just have to put it together. We always have to get it done regardless. And I think because of how we are wired, we are able to do that by becoming numb. And so even becoming numb allows us to have capacity to carry pain. Sometimes nobody knows what you're going through. Nobody have an idea because you do it so well. Yeah, I think the threshold is very high.
Oh, how deep is your threshold?
So just to kind of go back to what we were talking about before, right? In terms of the building out yourself and that kind of thing, right? That was my most recent example in terms of that threshold, right? So a year ago we started Toast, and me, how I am naturally, I am a workaholic. So I am always going. It doesn't matter what situation comes up. So it's a combination of course, you're married, so managing your relationship, so that's personal, whatever things you have going on in your personal life, then a full-on business, just everything that's happening all at once, and still showing up every day with the right attitude, with I don't know if to say a poker face, but keeping it together, right? I could be pulling my hair out in the back there, nobody would know. A customer comes and you come, hi, how are you? Biggest smile, everything. So you're going through it. Different challenges, dealing with your team, trying to mentor, trying to push them to be their best selves, trying to maintain a level of excellence in terms of your service,
And it's
trying to just keep everything together, right? So I mean, you're mentioning pain, and it's not necessarily like
physical
pain or depression or anything like that, but it is a level of pain in terms of pushing you to keep going, right? And I would be constantly going like that to the point where I realized that I was starting to crash because you're going 7 days a week, right? But my husband, that's when he kind of jumped in and was like, oh, you need to take these off. Your team is more than capable. They know what you expect and all of that, and you need to slow down. You need to, carve out that time for yourself so that you could keep it together. And I realized that from going like that, I was really on edge with my team in terms of dealing with them, because you're so there's so much pressure behind the scenes that nobody knows about. But when you're interacting with them, it's not your best. You're not operating at your best self because there's so much going on, right? And you're keeping it all to yourself, and you think nobody understands, or nobody could really. Yeah, nobody understands. That's the best way to put it, right? Yeah. So, I mean, that strength for me, I always kind of tie things back in terms of my spirituality. That's what keeps me grounded in terms of managing those things and saying, you know what, at some point in time, this is beyond me, and I need to let some things go and trust in God. He knows the bigger picture, and he understands. He already see the plan for Tuitt. He already see the plan for everything that's supposed to happen in my life. And a lot of the times we try to make things happen on our own. So like I said before, my thing is getting things done, right? So I pride myself on that, getting things up and running and getting it done. But God allows certain things to happen for us as well too. It's not just all in our strengths. There's a piece, like Dana said, and being able to like let go and trust the process and have boundaries and allow things to happen, because a lot of the times we think we know what's best for ourselves, and in truth and in fact we really don't know, you know, we really don't know. So that's my
and you
experience.
see, I like how we feeling off of each other. If you realize we play with the words that everybody uttered. About being in a male-dominated field, how do you know you have reached your threshold?
I feel like I reach my threshold all the time because I have to deal with men so much in a space where they feel like this is their space and I'm not supposed to be here. And then I come in and like, oh, I'm a go-getter. I like to get things done, and it needs to be done a particular way. So I would work 24 hours. Sometimes it feels like 36 in one day just to get it done, right? But men always think that, hey, it will happen. Just relax. We know how to do it. You know, it will happen. And I would literally like sit in the car. I would cry, wipe my tears, come out and just get it done. Nobody would know I was in the car, bawling, screaming, mashing things up, you know. And this is something I had to unlearn. I feel like people always talk about, let's learn this and let's learn that, but they never remind us that we have to unlearn so much things, because I had to unlearn what I thought selfish was. Because we always, like we was taught and we was told that selfish might be a bad thing. We're not supposed to be selfish. We're supposed to be selfless. And we're supposed to always be there for others, right? But I had to unlearn and be like, no, selfish isn't all that bad, because I need to take time for myself. I need to be able to, don't call me after 7. So now my phone is on do not disturb from, something that's kind of early for me, because again, my anxiety wouldn't even let me put my phone off at 7, right? But by 9 p.m. my phone goes on do not disturb now, and I mean, you could call the police, you could call the fire station, ambulance. Don't call me. There are certain persons, you know, if it's really an emergency now, you know, call a number by now. You know, mama, you know. But other than that, like I had to, and that's something I had to unlearn in order to learn something new. Because I used to feel bad if I don't respond to somebody. Immediately.
Yeah.
I hate to see my email saying 5 emails unread. Who is this? Who needs something? My WhatsApp, I have agreed. I need to read it. I need to attend it. And what really made me open my eyes is when a client had to say, you know, I message on Sunday sometimes because that's when I would remember, but you don't need to respond. And I was like, whoa. I don't?
Like, well,
like I don't? I was like, because I think you would feel bad. Because it have other people who would hit me 5 question marks if I don't respond immediately.
People,
you know? So when they talk about them boundaries, I was like, listen, that took about 5 years, but it feels good to finally be in a space where you can say, well, no, I work 8 to 5.
and you get to love what you do.
Because
you get to pour in
Yeah.
at the allotted time, and you get to step back.
Exactly.
And people never get to step back to even figure out, how do I innovate what I do? How do I get better at it? How do I make it simpler? How do I make it more enjoyable? You know. So if you never get to check out, you don't really get to check in.
That part.
Get to check out, you never get to check in. Hello, I'm coining phrases inside of me. I want you to know that. Relearn and innovating. Those are the 2 words that have just popped in a couple of seconds, right? So we're going to ask a simple question. In the past year, what is one thing that you had to relearn that is causing you now to chart differently on your journey? And you have 2 seconds to think about that. 2 seconds to think about that.
I also had to relearn that I can't be anything to anyone if I'm nothing to myself. Like I have to be Avalon to Avalon first before I could be Avalon or whoever they refer to me as.
That is a
to them.
That is a Trust me. That's what.
I
Yeah.
had to read that.
Who next?
For me, it has been having a mindset of abundance, right? Which is, when you think, okay, you always need a budget and you're counting every cent and all of these different things, and being very, responsible with money, responsible, but at the same time, trusting God that He would provide this as where the money really comes from.
Yeah.
And not through just what we see physically, naturally, right? Thinking about if I had all the options available to me, how would I expand my business, or what would I do how would I treat with this situation if I had all the options available to me? So kind of having a limitless mindset, rather than thinking about the resources in your hands right now, because that could hold you back from moving forward. And also, I've also realized that when you start making steps towards doing something, even though you don't have all the resources, listen, God will show up and things just fall into place for you to get what you need at that point in time or to move forward.
Yeah.
But
For
that
something to happen, something has to happen.
right. So instead of thinking or being limited in terms of your mindset with what you have now, but think from a mindset of abundance that anything could happen or anything could go your way. Once you start putting things in place for that to happen.
That's another share on the table. Whoa.
We have the satellite.
Yeah, that's something with Parliament. For me, it was learning to be soft. That is the biggest task in my entire life. I have seen my mother and my aunt and my grandmother done it all. So this is how I have been conditioned. Simple things. Somebody opening the door for her to access what me feel like I pull the door. And as funny as it may seem, it comes across as me being a beast when somebody is just extending an olive branch to me. And for the past year, I have been trying to tell myself, I deserve softness. So again, I take you out to Mel. Mel has this thing where she say, look for hearts.
Yeah.
It's not just physical hearts. But for me, this is my heart moments for today. So when I sit to journal, this is going to go under my heart moments that I have brought women in a space where we all interact with each other and we share some of the same sentiments. And this is part of my journey of being soft.
Love it. I had to relearn that criticism isn't always a bad thing.
Come on, you have to teach me that one.
Because a lot of times you think that someone is criticizing because everybody just have a problem with me, and it's always negative. But a lot of times criticism is actually a great tool that we undervalue because we see criticism as something negative. I had to relearn that, especially in the field of trauma and even just being faith-based as well. Sometimes you are in a space where you hear things, you see things, but the truth is somebody that is criticizing is seeing something that you don't see. And whether you agree with it or not, it is something that you can take into consideration because it may not be for the now season or the Kairos moment, but it could be for a season to come. And so you just put it in the archive, but doing that has now allowed me to be very, one, receptive of persons, and two, it doesn't make me feel any type of way before. Listen, who's you? Not even my husband could have criticized. I will ask you, you didn't see that all the time. Yeah? That wasn't a red flag all the time. We're married before. But again, that too also speaks to trauma as well. You've been criticized for so long, being daddy's considered daddy favorite, daddy and mommy separate, and because you crying for daddy, you shouldn't cry for daddy because daddy wasn't good to mommy, and you're in the middle of this thing. And so criticism was never seen as something positive, but I had to relearn that and I embrace it all the time.
Come on.
Whether I agree or not, what I agree with I take, what I don't agree with I put it on the back burner. And that's it. Gives you peace too.
I feel like it was covered. I feel like the ladies on that side covered it. I feel like the last couple 4 months of my life have been a test of how strong I am, but I also needed to learn to let go a bit and maybe let and accept help because I don't like to wait. I don't like to wait.
Yeah.
If I want this move now, you could move this summer. If by the time and it's still there, it could be 3 seconds. I don't know.
Let me blink.
That's a woman. That's a woman trait.
Don't let me blink.
No.
So, like the past couple of months of my life, I realized that I had to, because like my friends were telling me and my family as well, like you need to learn to accept help because things happen and they're like, oh, what do you need help? I good, I'm Gucci, you know, and I realized, you know, I will burn myself out and I have to kind of pull back and say, all right, Jihan, accept the help. And if they do it, if they point, I really got to that go and take it back, but still, you know, accept it and help. So I'm working through that right now.
But let me ask you this, right? Because we all agreed in what you said.
Right.
Where do you think that stemmed from? The fact that
From having to be strong and having to do shit. Oh, sorry. Having to do stuff.
so you haven't given it perfect look was
Having to do stuff your whole life and having to be strong and not wanting to depend and not wanting to ask and not wanting to. And if I had asked what I want, it's feel a little too close to begging for me. So you know, you want to. That's trauma.
trauma.
There's one thing I
Another one
think
when
we
they make
forget
them out.
is we need to leave it for tomorrow,
We don't know that deal.
right? Like leaving it for tomorrow.
Whatever you have to deal with.
Like you have enough dealing with today. You don't need so much within the day. So I had to learn to leave it for tomorrow, where it be if it's something I need to get back to or something that I have to do, and I've seen that also that you then get to approach it with a clearer mind. Because you may have so much going on in a moment that you're trying to get all of these things checked off and you don't think about it. You know what, let me sleep on this. Let me give this some room to breathe. And I could come back to this and something that in today, it might take me 2 hours to do. I could probably do it in 20 minutes tomorrow.
That's not good food for thought.
You know, so like sometimes you get so overwhelmed with a day, with tasks, with things that people you have to respond to, things you have to say, the way in which you would respond. Because like you can damage a lot of good relationships by a hasty response.
Yeah.
Or by something happening, right? And then I'll be like, you know what, I would deal with this tomorrow. Right? It urgent, you know, but I need to let it be for me to also make sure that I am approaching it from a place of where I want it to grow and for it to hit home rather than for somebody to fire back at me.
I love that.
You know, and like that's hard for me because it's the same thing, right? It's the same like, well, I ask you to do this. So how you mean it ain't done yet? Or why it's not done the way I want it to be done? So on the heels of that, the next thing that I had to learn, which is what I share with a lot of my girlfriends, is that we really need to also clean up the way we communicate.
I'm going home. Some of them are
That's directions.
I want to pass.
And when I say that, I mean, if I need help, I have to be very clear as to how I want that help.
Yes.
Right? And you have to help me the way I need to be helped. Just the way I need to help you, the way you need to be helped. I cannot choose to help you how I want to help you. You need me to listen to you, therefore I need to listen to you. Right?
Yeah.
So I need to clean up the way I communicate so that the things I feel burdened with or frustrated with or, you know, just confused about could really get the leg room, could really get the traction. I could really start to see some improvements in the way I think about things, the way I deal with things, the way I manage things. Because in your mind, you're running a full show. You're running a full show.
Yes.
But the one thing you haven't done is really said what you need.
I totally.
Oh, I feel Dana talking to you on this one. Yeah. No, like, come on, give me.
And we get
what she's
upset.
saying,
We
yeah.
get upset when people do not do
Correct.
what we want
Yeah.
or the way we want, but we
Correct.
never communicated
Communicate.
No,
what we
but
want.
yeah, what I will say is that oftentimes we already know what other people want. So my mindset is, if I know how to take care of you, how come you don't know how to take care of me?
Yeah.
But you never had
Because
to.
that
And
person,
that we need to,
Yeah.
that's something
No, but
we
you
need to
understand
relearn.
that, right?
Yeah.
You understand that, right?
My son
Yeah.
said to me, very knowledgeable young man who raised him. My son said to me, he said to me the other day, he's like, Mommy, how you treat people, that doesn't mean they're going to treat you that way. He said, you can't expect a you from them.
correct.
Yes.
He said to you, Jen, you have to give them
Yes.
that room because
Yeah.
I'm going to go out of my way for you, that don't mean you're going to go out of your way for me.
And you also have to
Yeah.
choose better.
Correct.
Ah.
And it's
You
unmanaged
also have to know that some
expectations.
people would not show
Not
up in
deserve.
and not
Agreed.
just not deserving,
Agreed.
but they don't have the capacity.
Capacity.
And by
Yeah.
you always doing, you have replaced
Yeah.
that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the thing is, right, I want to go back to what you said, Dana, with knowing what is urgent, and before I forget the point,
Yeah.
what is urgent. But what I tell people, differentiate what is urgent and what is emergency. Because if you don't know some things that is an emergency, you treat it urgently. And some things that is urgently, you treat it as emergency.
Yeah.
And it's going to cause you to mismanage
Yeah.
exactly what you have to do. Moving forward to the point just made in terms of expecting persons to do as you do. That is causing a unmanaged or mismanaged expectations. What I tell people a lot of times, especially my clients, have a miracle circle. Your miracle circle, what I call your miracle circle, is at least 5 persons that you know if you need this is the person I go to, because a lot of times we feel all 5 persons can give us all 5 things, and it can't be. So when you understand the role and function of a person in your life, because sometimes that person is not your friend but a support system. And a support system is not necessarily a friend, but a system that is needed when you need support. Yeah? And so having that, you understand, okay, so I have you in my life, Tameeka, and you are my person that I go to when I'm dealing with my finances. You either advise me, you direct me, because you have that mindset. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Obviously, one that, hey, if I'm emotionally dysregulated, is Avalon going to bed. She could reason with me and say, hey, that point of view that you have, I understand it, but here's how you can look at it. So when you understand the people and the role that they are in your life, you can manage the expectation, because when you don't manage the expectation, you become disappointed most times.
Badly. In this moment, it's lived experiences, life experiences, it's personal struggles, it's personal growth, it's triumphs. And I think these are pillars in which make not just the human experience, but the woman experience. If you all have to define womanhood, what would you say?
Licks.
What
did he say?
How we will describe it?
Multifaceted.
Yeah.
Dynamic.
Agreeable.
Yeah.
Yeah, multifaceted is a lot. Different facets.
Yeah, I don't think that joke, like, it's okay to align a woman with a diamond, because we kind of rough sometimes. We have so many different
Feel like
sides.
rough
We
hands.
have so many different
learning.
sides. Different facets.
I'm telling you, I am learning. Hold me for this.
Yeah, definitely. Multifaceted. We'll stick with that.
I feel like ever changing.
Yeah, true. I was actually going to say that I feel like you never arrive. I feel like you never arrive and, okay, this is what it is, and you put like a label on it, so you define it a particular way, but I feel like you're always evolving, and it's a journey, and you're always changing. What you might need now and who you are now is who you might be later down the road, you know?
As Granny say, what I wanted yesterday, I don't have to want it today. Who I was last week is not who I may be this week. And I think it's Jihan said it when she said men are compartments. If their response to different situations tend to be the same, while our response to different situations, it tends to differ with the situation. Yeah, ever changing.
You know, that's somewhat of a social thing too, Tameeka, because social media has taught us that we have to stick. Like if you're going on this road, you have to stay on that road.
Yeah.
They don't allow us to be okay with changing and trying new things and being different. They feel like, oh, she confused. From the time you change your mind, you confused.
No, but that's really refining yourself. Right?
Exactly.
It's that, like, I can get up and I can, because you don't know somebody's mind. You don't know how long they were probably toying with the idea of wanting to do something different.
And then
like,
finally
you know,
try
it's
it.
like you just decide, you know what, I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah. So
I'm just gonna
social
go
media
cold
first.
turkey and stop doing one thing and really
And try something else.
and really devote yourself to what you feel is in the season.
Yes.
Because what you would do before you had a lot of responsibilities into being in a space where it is you have a little bit more autonomy.
Yeah.
Yes,
You know, it is going to, and you cannot continue to be the same person you were before that happened, because I mean,
You're not in the
advocates
same
speak to it
season.
well. If you have an event running and you have other things taking place, you have to then jump in
You have
here,
to be
jump
able
in
to
there.
pivot and know when to change things.
No, but even when, she's not going to deal with all the customers the same way, depending on how they respond to you or with you.
But it has to seem the same way though.
It has to be, yes. So at this point, I'm going to ask you all to put your hand in a bowl. Tell O pick last, because she said she wants to pick. Everybody got a question? You're going to open. And you just give me an answer. See you. Look how fast your hand.
Alright.
Look how fast your hand.
Immediately.
Alright, so who wants to go first?
Oh my God.
This
Here,
way.
vote.
I feel I want to choose again.
You're not reaching it. Give it up.
That's kind of odd.
Yeah, I find like the question is like, but no need that, but like, what kind of heaviness?
These things, what kind of heaviness?
I want to change too.
Who wants to change too? You all exchange. Look there over here.
It's not open.
Alright, so I will take this one.
She feel the heaviness in it.
Alright, I will take this one. Alright, who went first?
I can start. Are you happy? Very. Very, very happy. Yeah.
Love that for you.
In the chaos, in the tiredness, in the hope, in the past, I am happy.
Wow.
And I think that just encompasses being able to see things from a perspective of it not being perfect, not by a long shot, but being appreciated in my life, being able to live in answered prayers, being able to be grateful for every obstacle, and even just to be a part of the lives that I get to share in, even in this moment.
Yeah.
You know, because there are people, as my mother always says, nobody picking, nobody calling them, you know. It's our people nobody calls. You know, not even to find out if you're doing bad. Nobody calling them, nobody cares.
Yeah.
So I am happy to be able to see, to be a part of something bigger, and to also give to something greater.
Wow.
I love that.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, get the chair.
Mine is, what is something you are proud of? I am proud of myself. I'm proud of my journey. I'm proud of my growth. I don't know if I should say I was or am a teen mom, and I'm proud of the relationship. I'm proud of the child that I've fostered. So I'm proud of me.
We proud of you with that child like that, right? I want you to know that. We are proud of you with that boy.
I'm proud of me. I'm proud of our relationship. I'm proud of my son. I'm willing to try, because we spoke earlier about, I've always said social media, not, people don't want to try something new because everybody's going to be judging it and stuff. I don't suffer from that. I will put it down, try something again. So I'm proud of myself.
Right.
Proud of you, girl.
All right, since we're coming down the line, right? Let's go down the line. What is your biggest battle? Time. Time took so much.
The director is like,
She want more time.
Time took so much from me at such a fast time that I live in a chokehold with time. I literally live with as though someone has their hands around my throat and I'm just waiting for something to happen that will put me back in a space that is too familiar for me. It is, listen, I think if they asked me to be an astronaut, I could learn that in a day. But to let go with my battle with time is a task.
Snaps.
Yeah, we should have
Admit something. I am an introvert with extrovert qualities. A lot of people don't know, but I have to mentally make up my mind to be with people. I'm always by myself. It's very difficult at times to serve. Even when I speak on platforms, I am nervous every time. And many persons don't know because I look the part. Like I speak and you don't have an idea, but the nervousness that is there, the ideas that are bombarded at the moment. So as bold as I and confident as I am, there's still a moment where I need to mentally prepare myself to go forward.
No, it's not.
What is something that worries you often? And I wanted to change it because literally in my last newspaper interview, I had this question too, like the same question. And I want to change it because I feel like the thing or things, it haunted me, right? But maybe it's for a reason. So there are two things that worries me a lot, like every day. Being stagnant, like I am terrified of being in the same place. And just not growing. Like if I feel like if I'm not growing, which is a space I kind of feel like now, I feel like I've been doing the same thing for so long, and sometimes I feel like unheard, unseen, and that might sound weird to some people because they'll be like, you? But yeah, sometimes I feel like if I am seen, there's always somebody trying to overshadow what I am trying to show or say or do. So I'm always really, really terrified of being stagnant and not growing and being in the same place. I just feel like mold will catch me, right? And the other thing that worries me a lot is like my son in this world today. Like I'm a boy mom too. I'm a boy mom too, and I feel like my son is just everything. And I lost my brother some years ago, and I don't ever think I will ever recover from that. And that has had me terrified of losing my son. So I have my son like in this glass case, like I don't want him to go anywhere, I don't want him to mix with anybody, and it's the wrong thing, but it's because I'm so worried. So I'm now actually learning to let him mix with people and go out a little bit and you know? Yeah, no, because he's 18 and never went to party. Like
No, she's accepting that.
Well, my son was 14 could teach him.
I'm the world today. I just saw that those two things here neck and neck with worry me a lot every day.
Can I say, you might not feel like if you see it, but you are seen and I see you and I'm proud of you.
We see you.
We see you.
We see you.
Yeah.
So my question, which I don't know if I like it, I find it could be more fun.
Alright,
It says, what is a dream you have let go of? And I don't feel like if I have a dream that I let go of. Right?
yeah.
But what I can say is there are multiple things that I want to do, but it just depends on, I guess, I know this is a really cliche word, the season in your life. There's a time for everything, and I feel like right now what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing, and the time will pass, and then there will be another time that I will be able to focus on other goals that I have as well. And somebody said it before, but I feel very grateful to be living in a dream that I had at some point in time and see it to fruition.
And we love it. We
Yeah.
love it inside of here. The yellow is popping.
love
The
it.
salmon is popping. The tea is popping. We love it.
like a coffee.
The greens were fresh, right? Don't forget
The
about
fun
that.
for toast and all, like
Yeah.
that was very
So we could see it, and I just wanted us to see that we most times, a reflection of the woman sitting next to you. Many of us are at a place we envision to be. Many of us are on the journey to get there. Many of us are learning, unlearning, relearning. And I think that is definitions of what makes womanhood.
Yeah.
That's what makes this thing so good, being mothers and wives and friends. And I think it's a good place for us to be.
Agreed.
And I just want to put you all on the spot one more time, last time. So after your answer, I have nothing again to say. You met yourself for lunch at Toast 6 years ago. What would you be telling yourself 6 years ago? You'll see where you're meeting yourself, right? By Toast.
I feel like I'll tell myself, like, I know you never actually thought that this is where you will be at this point in time, that you'll be able to really experience these things, you know, like eat nice things in nice places, because we are Toast,
And
right?
drink sparkling
You know,
water.
drink sparkling water. Like, I know you probably thought you would always be a Blue Waters or Oasis kind of girl. But it actually does work out. It does work out. The plans you have, like, it does come to fruition. You know, your questions were not stupid questions, actually.
Yes.
Like, you really had a plan, you stuck to it. So this plan you're thinking about right now, 6 years later, girl, trust me, you will be living that answer dream. So just relax a little bit. Find time to do your hair and your nails and things. Because 6 years ago, I never used to find time to do those things. Because I was just focused on what to do.
The present.
Yeah.
That seems like such a long time ago, but I think for me, it would be keep believing. Keep believing. Because sometimes you think what you believe in is so far-fetched, and then it can happen, you know, because
That's a
you
message for me.
you know, like you can keep believing, like it gets better. You are going to have, you know, some setbacks, some delays, but it shouldn't derail what you truthfully want to accomplish, you know. Everybody always gets to that point when they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's happening, you know. So keep believing. That's the one thing that I will keep saying to myself, like it could change and it could change for the better.
Summer.
What would I tell myself 6 years ago? You are deserving of all that you have.
Message for me again.
You are deserving of all that you have worked hard, you've put in the work, you did not get spoon fed. Everything that you work for, you deserve it. And people will not understand and be okay with that.
And that's okay.
Yeah, be okay with that.
Like there's so much I could say. What your life will become is it is a culmination of all of the choices, the single decisions that you make. So be very wise in terms of making the decisions that you have to make on a daily basis, because it can alter your life, and also it's really important to develop your character. All the challenges that you face in life, instead of running away from things when it happens, go through it. Because life has a funny way of when you kind of avoid things happening and you don't go through it, it kind of repeats itself again. And through those experiences, you really build character as a person, and that is what will keep you through the tough times. Yeah.
I feel like all the answers kind of summarize what I was going to say. I don't know, I would say, you know what I tell myself though? Save. Don't spend so much money. I would tell myself,
She would tell herself that before 6 years ago.
So you don't know yourself.
I said,
So you don't know yourself.
I said, you don't have to buy it, Jihan. And your belly wasn't
But will
big,
yourself listen to
right?
yourself, Jihan? But yourself listen to yourself.
Yeah, it's
About
making
that.
sense.
Everything the lady said,
In a nutshell.
let's go with that.
I would simply say, be easy grasshopper. Be easy grasshopper. And I think it's on that note I say love and life, and every time a mic comes on, our camera comes on, I always encourage people to give love, receive love, be love. And I earnestly encourage people to be human to another human, because we're not sure the weight what people are carrying around. Love, light, the host, The toast and the hub.
We should toast.
Yeah, we should toast. We should toast.